Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. Tonight's Sober Talk, we're going to continue on with the big book. We're a couple chapters in now. We're all the way in chapter 3, and there's a few chapters in the first 164 pages of the big book. Of course, then after that, the question is, what are we going to do next? What's the next thing we're going to tackle? And I believe the next thing that we're probably going to tackle after this, we might do a reading of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, which will be pretty doggone cool. So we might do that. Kind of depends on how you all feel about it. So we're hopefully we'll get underway. Now, after this stream, we will carry on with um, the original live stream of Save the World right after this. We have a special Save the World live stream. So we've been kind of building up to for a little while. Basically, we got the materials together, made a bunch of really awesome. Hey, what's going on, Ian? Religion, you asked. No, not religion. There is undertones of religion, but there's no actual religion. You do know that, right? Because it won't have anything to do with straight on religion, but we have to get along with them. Mainly because they've also been our biggest contributors of newcomers forever and a day. But as I was saying, after this particular live stream, we'll be doing a Save the World special where we're going to be giving away a bunch of shotguns in game. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for sharing that out. I appreciate that. So we'll be giving away a bunch of those to other players in the game. We've got a bunch of double barrels that we're going to be giving away. A lot of Thunderbolts. Lots. Hook? Maybe. Okay. I have no idea where that's going. But we have a lot of. Uh, that makes more sense. Um, but we're going to be giving away a lot of Thunderbolt shotguns in the next stream, which is right after this. And of course, the final winner of the night for a. Yeah, I know, honey, you're tired. Get some rest. The final winner for tonight for a Save the World shotgun will get a Maverick shotgun, full gold perk, full legendary perk. The way that it works is you have to say hello in the stream. You don't have to say anything more. You just gotta say hello, and the player who owns that storm shield, when we go in to assist them, if they say hello, they get a brand new thunder. Funny, honey. You get all my weaponry in that game. Mine, actually, and of course, when we get underway, Ian gets to break in a brand new rocket launcher. It's sort of ready for release. Yeah, Ian gets to try out a brand new rocket launcher. May the gods save us now. All righty, so we're gonna wait till close to about 10-minute marker, give or take, and then we're gonna get underway as usual with the big book, which I have mine handy right here. Ironically enough, this was actually a gift. This one was a gift. My other one is in much nicer condition than this one. Rockets go boom boom. Yep, yep. Uh, Raven got to see this thing in action. And I already told him, I said, if Ian knows that this rocket launcher exists, he's gonna be saying, why is it not in my hands right now? Why is it not in my hands? It'll be there. It'll be there. It wasn't ready. So it's as ready as it can be for the moment. Um, yeah. 1970s Tiger. Huh. 1970s Tiger. You talking about Christian the Tiger, maybe? No, that was Christian the Lion. That's an interesting story. Definitely one to look up. Christian the Lion. It was actually really cool. Yeah, I've been telling her that. Yep. Yeah, it's quite a story there. If you ever get a chance, look that one up. I think it was Christian the Lion. I looked that one up and I was just like, wow, that was huge. It was awesome. Yeah, yeah. It was good. A really, really awesome. Yeah. Yep. It was a really awesome story. So if you've not checked that out, uh, definitely worth checking out. It's an amazing story. Hmm. I think it was Christian the Lion. Yeah. Anyhow, and I think it got its start all the way back in the 70s. And if I remember correctly, it even got its start in England, Ian. You might like that one. Yes, yes, absolutely. So, we'll give it a couple more minutes. I do have it marked where we are. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Uh, we may have to backtrack just a smidgen. Hey, what's up, Raven? And what's up, Mikey G? Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Already got 3 people hanging with us. It's going to be an interesting big book study because we're getting close to the end of this chapter. Yeah, I'm figuring it won't be much longer. I ain't worried about it. I actually knew of somebody that actually practically built their channel on trolls. You know, I know he's probably lurking, wondering if he's going to get away with saying anything else stupid. You're wasting your time because the longer you're here, the more you add to it, the more I get out of it. I don't even have to say anything to you. I can ignore you completely. You might throw me off my game just a smidgen, but that's it. At day's end, you're the one adding to my watch time. And any comment you put in, even if we take it down, is another comment in my favor. So in other words, you're a fucking idiot. Yep. Already just had to take care of business. Remind people that you can't mess with a good thing. But it is time. We are close to that 10-minute marker. You are correct. Alrighty. So the last we left off, they talked, if you guys remember, the last we left off, we had the story about the guy that went to pieces in what? At the age of 55, drank himself to death, basically. And, that sort of thing. So now it's getting into, the whole time frame. All righty. So we're on page 33 of the chapter called More About Alcoholism, which I think is like the third chapter. Third chapter, yeah. Because first chapter is Bill's story. Second chapter is There's a Solution. Second chapter is More About Alcoholism. And then the chapter that'll follow is called We Agnostics. You might actually get a kick out of this one, Ian. But anyhow, to be gravely affected, one does not necessarily have to drink a long time nor take the quantities some of us have. This is particularly true of women. Potential female alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall in a few years. Let me stop a moment real quick. The big book, for the most part, is ironically geared more towards men, because at that particular time when this was written, it was thought that men were going to be more likely to become alcoholic than women. And it's still kind of considered that a little bit more so today. It's still like that. However, this was the point where they actually said that it is that if a woman does turn alcoholic, they usually go faster than the men. Now, this is obviously what I'm about to say is a little bit more statistical than you might think. This is a lot truer than most people want to believe. For whatever reason, it's just the way it works. When a woman falls into that trap, we know was alcoholism, it takes her quickly. And it's really kind of scary. It's spooky, scary. And you don't have to, it's one of those things. Okay, honey, you rest well. So, kind of a heads up, for whatever reason, if a woman decides to fall into that trap, she goes quick. Just kind of the way it is. On the other hand, this is also true for some guys too. I don't know what it is, but we have found that that's a more consistent thing with women. But ironically enough, more men are more likely to become alcoholic than women. All right. Certain drinkers who would be greatly insulted if called alcoholics are astonished at their inability to stop. We who are familiar with the symptoms see large number of potential alcoholics among young people everywhere, but try and get them to see it. Well, hello, Adam. Welcome to the live stream. I'm doing a big book reading. Kick back, relax. As we look back, we feel we had gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. If anyone questions whether he has entered this dangerous area, let him try leaving liquor alone for 1 year. If he is a real alcoholic and very far advanced, there's scant chance of success. In the early days of our drinking, we occasionally remained sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. Though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. We think few to whom this book will appeal can stay dry anything like a year. Some of us will be drunk the day after making their resolutions, most of them within a few weeks. Okay, what they're talking about is there are some, basically it's the setup, if you will. If you've crossed over into the realm of alcoholism, and most of us know long before, it's one of those things that I like to drink, and then you're constantly, plastered, it's one of those things. I'm trying to find the best words to describe this. Give me a second here. Coffee. Vape. Most of us know the very first time we take a drink, what happens is that there's that certain something that clicks inside the head and says, yes, this is what I want. Before that drink, that first initial drink, it was a constant, constantly living in fear, the realm of alcohol. Yes, absolutely. Once we have that first drink, the twisted mindset is locked in. That's all it took. And it does not matter the age. Alcoholism does not discriminate. It does not discriminate. Yes, men are more likely to fall in that trap than women, but if women fall in that trap, they go down quick. We don't know why. It probably has something to do with physiology. That's the best way I could put it. But now that I've said that, yes, I got sober at the age of 26 and I spiraled downward. Again, it has something to do with physiology. Something about us Native Americans, we don't do well. You give us a little bit of alcohol and a lot of us end up in this boat. We don't know why. Not sure. We don't call it fire water for no damn reason because it seems to burn us up pretty bad. I think it has a lot to do with physiology. But anyhow, what I'm getting at with this is that a lot of folks, it takes many, many years. A lot of times you'll go into meetings and the newcomer walking in the door, not a joke, the newcomer walking in the door is usually in their mid 30s, usually, they're sometimes in their mid 30s, usually is about the youngest you'll see them, but more often than not, they're in their 40s. They're at my age just getting sober in a lot of cases. And so in the old days, if you made 10 years or more, you were already an old timer in AA in a lot of cases. So in my particular case, because I got sober at the age of 26, I was already an old timer by the time I hit 36. I was one of the old timers in AA, ironically enough. And the reason why it was 10 years is because more of the times than most, you were well into your 40s by the time you got sober. So by the time you were in your 50s, you were now an old timer in the program. And that was how it worked back then. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. Um, Years ago, I was probably about eight, 7, 8 months sober. For whatever reason, the real truth of it is most of us alcoholics, we know there's something up, or we should at least know that something up. Better yet, the best way to put it, all of us alcoholics know we remember two things more than anything so clearly. We remember our first drink, our first true drink, and we remember our last one. That's the ones we remember the most. All the other ones in between, just stories. We don't remember what led to it. But more often than not, how do you know? A lot of times you don't. Most of us alcoholics are the last ones to know that we have a true problem. We're the last ones to know. Everybody else knows, but good luck getting us to listen to those people that know. Every one of us. We're the last. Every one of us in the AA program, and even we'll even throw in. Um. Okay, I'm going to equate it to this. I see. I've worked Alzheimer's units enough that I can describe this. Imagine for a split second you're on an Alzheimer's unit and an Alzheimer's patient looks at another one and says, "Keep me away from that person. They're crazy." Bear in mind, they both suffer from the same disease, Alzheimer's, which brings on the onset of dementia. Both of them might even be at the same stage, but they'll look at each other and they'll say about the other one, "Keep me away from that person. They're crazy." Now, that is a mental illness. Bear that in mind. I have actually seen in high schools here in the United States, they'll actually have special classes for those that suffer from mental or physical handicaps. It's one of those things that you kind of, at a certain point, you start lying to yourself. You start lying to yourself. It's actually really, it is really, well, give me just a moment with that. But here in the United States, we have special classes in some of the high schools. I know where I live, we did when I was in high school way back when. We had special classes for those that suffer from mental and physical handicaps. Uh, it's not that they want to isolate them; it's just that they have to isolate them. Hey, what's going on, Gravetaker? Because the other students are usually jackasses, kind of the nature of the beast. So they give them their own special classes. Well, you'll even hear some of those handicapped students more or less look at each other and say that person is not right. So it's almost like the mind tricks itself to believing that what you're going through is normal. So you start lying to yourself, basically. So in the midst of my alcoholism, I started lying to myself, saying that I can control it. I have this. I'm smarter than the disease of alcoholism, and I can outsmart it. I couldn't outsmart shit, okay, in this case. So the reality of it is that I was actually lying to myself. And then when I was lying to myself, I would outwardly lie to others. Okay. So in that reality, I started lying to others saying I could control this. No, I couldn't. I could not control my disease. And not feeling too good. Well, I'm not the person to talk to about blindness and about not feeling good. Rest well. Take care of it. Take care of you. I'm going to say something right now that won't make any sense. I know how long I've been sober, yes, but you never get control of your alcoholism. You just put off taking a drink till the next day. That's the truth of it. What it boils down to is you just put it off till the next day. I've in 15 and almost 15 and a half years, I still have no control. I just keep putting it off till tomorrow. And the reality of it is it all has to do with the fact that I had that very first drink that I remember all too well. I was 14 years old. That was my first drunk. And ever since then, there is a part of me that will always chase what I felt while I was drunk. So that's the twisted thinking that the book is trying to address. And more often than not, young people don't think they have that problem. They'll inwardly lie to themselves, and then when they're able to lie to themselves, they outwardly lie to the rest of the world. And because most people don't know what alcoholism really is like or has true experience with it, this is where misconceptions come in. I knew I'd nail that eventually. I had to find my groove on it. For those who are unable to unable to drink moderately, the question is how to stop altogether. We're assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. Whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he has already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or not. In other words, how far has it progressed with your disease? Many of us felt we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it, this utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. How then shall we help our readers to determine to their own satisfaction whether they are one of us? The experiment for quitting for a period of time will be helpful, but we think we can render an even greater service to alcoholic sufferers and perhaps to the medical fraternity. So we shall describe some of the mental states that precede a relapse into drinking, for obviously this is the crux of the problem. Basically, what enters our freaking heads before we run off and do something stupid like starting to drink ourselves into oblivion? What sort of thinking dominates an alcoholic who repeats this time after time, the desperate experiment of the first drink? Friends who have reasoned with him after a spree which has brought him to the point of divorce or bankruptcy are mystified when he walks directly into a saloon. Why does he? Of what is he thinking? Our first example is a friend we shall call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. He inherited a lucrative automotive agency. He had a commendable World War record. Bear in mind, this is before the Second World War, okay? So we hadn't even entered into the Second World War by the time this book had been written, well, had been published. The United States was at least another 2 years out. He's a good salesman. Everybody likes him. He's an intelligent man, normal so far as we can see, except for a nervous disposition. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent when intoxicated, he had to be committed. On leaving the asylum, he came into contact with us. We told him of what we knew of alcoholism and the answer that we found. He made a beginning. His family was reassembled. He began to work as a salesman for a business he had lost through drinking. All went well for a time, but he failed to enlarge in his spiritual life. To his consternation, he found himself drunk a half a dozen times in rapid succession. On each of these occasions, we worked with him, reviewing carefully what happened. He agreed he was a real alcoholic and in a serious condition. He knew he faced another trip to the asylum if he kept on. Moreover, he would lose his family, whom he had a deep affection. Yet he got drunk again. We asked him to tell us exactly how it happened. This is his story. I came to work on Tuesday morning. I remembered I felt irritated that I had to be a salesman for a concern that I once owned. I had a few words with the boss, but nothing serious. Then I decided to drive into the country and see one of my prospects for a car. On the way, I felt hungry, so I stopped at a roadside place where they have a bar. I had no intention of drinking. I just thought I would get a sandwich. I also had the notion that I might find a customer for a car at this place, which I was familiar for I'd been going to it for years. I'd eaten there many times during the months I was sober. I sat down at the table, ordered a sandwich and a glass of milk. Still no thought of drinking. I ordered another sandwich and decided to have another glass of milk. Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind that if I were to put an ounce of whiskey in my milk, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. I ordered a whiskey and poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being any too smart, but felt reassured as I was taking the whiskey on a full stomach. The experiment went so well, I ordered another whiskey and poured it into more milk. That didn't seem to bother me, so I tried another. Thus started another journey to the asylum for Jim. Here was the threat of commitment and the loss of family and position, to say nothing that intense mental and physical suffering which drinking always caused him. He had much knowledge of himself as an alcoholic, yet reasons for not drinking were easily pushed aside in favor of the foolish idea that he could take whiskey if he only mixed it with milk. I'm going to take a moment there. Stories like this are commonplace, very much commonplace. I wouldn't get into trouble drinking this time if I do it like this. Nobody will know if I do it like this. It was always the same. As a matter of fact, one of the people that was very instrumental into helping me get sober in my early days, who was no longer with us, said that he used to line the bottles up on the bar and wonder which one got him drunk. He said, honestly, it was the first one that got me drunk. And then his favorite thing to say is, it's not the caboose that kills you, it's the locomotive, the first one in the train. Absolutely. And that's what the big book is trying to drive home. If you are a real alcoholic, eventually you're going to have to stop lying to yourself. There are some in the fellowship that like to call that moment that reality hits them, hitting their bottom. That moment when they're like, I can't keep doing this. I don't like using that term, hitting your bottom. And Sober Man actually says, well, it's, what that ever. I said, no. I said, you yourself have said it to me in my early days. If you think you've hit as low of a bottom as you can get out there and have another drink. You'll find an even lower bottom. And the lowest bottom you can get is when they're throwing dirt in your face. I said, you said that yourself. And he said, yes. I said, so I like to call it that moment of truth. The moment you stop bullshitting yourself, the moment you look at yourself in the mirror and say, there is something wrong here. What's going on, J-Dog? Going over the big book again. Good to see you. So that's what we refer to that moment of truth, the moment you stop lying to yourself, the moment you get real with the person looking back at you in the mirror, the moment of truth. That's what I like to call it. Some people, like I said, they like to call it hitting your bottom. I don't like that because, like I said, there's lower bottoms out there. You think you hit your bottom? Trust me, there's more waiting. If you're a real alcoholic, there's more waiting for you. Have another drink. You'll find them. Trust me, you'll find them. Every one of them. And it's never pretty. It's never pretty. Let's carry on. All right. You may think this, let's see. Okay. Whatever the precise definition of the word may be, we call this plain insanity. This is actually in the book. Whatever this precise definition of the word may be, we call this insanity. How can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight can be called anything else? The book is very clear on this. You may think this is an extreme case. To us, it is not far-fetched. For this kind of thinking has been characterized by a characteristic of every single one of us. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences. There was always the curious mental phenomenon that paralleled with our sound reasoning. There inevitably ran some insane trivial excuse for taking the first drink. Our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check. The insane idea won out. Next day, ask ourselves in earnestness and sincerity how it could have happened. Yeah, that pretty well covered it right there. In some circumstances, we have gone out deliberately to get drunk, feeling ourselves justified by nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or the like. Even this type of beginning, we are obliged to admit that our justification for history was insanely insufficient in the light of what always happened. We now see that we began to drink deliberately instead of casually. There was serious or effective thought during the period of premeditation of the terrific consequences might be. Wow. Yeah, I'm all over that. Screw you guys writing a book about me before I was born. Sons of bitches. All right. Now, the next part that I'm about to read, try not to laugh too terribly hard, guys, because the description of what they're about to describe is crazy. And if you're like me, I thought this was hilarious. I had to read this when I first read this, I had to read this 2-3 times before I could stop laughing. Okay? Because this is comical. And then when I finally got to the next line after the part that I'm reading, then it wasn't so damn funny. So bear with me a second. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink as that of an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking. He gets a thrill out of skipping in front of fast-moving vehicles. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of friendly warnings. Up to this point, you would label him as a foolish chap, having queer ideas of fun. Hold on a second. Really quick, I know you guys hearing the word, queer. Calm yourself. It's not what you think. Okay. No, actually, because of their experience, they kind of know what to expect. So I'm actually making a comment about how I felt when I read this the first time because I had stopped lying to myself by that point. So I was basically like, what the hell? I'm all over these pages. It was frustrating because someone knew what was going on long before I was even born. And really quick, every once in a while in this older type of writing, you'll hear that word queer. It doesn't mean what you think it does. It actually just means strange. Okay, so that's what it actually meant at one time, and why we have to twist such words. Where were we? We'll start over again. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drinking as an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking. He gets a thrill out of skipping in front of fast-moving vehicles. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of friendly warnings. Up to this point, you would label him a foolish chap having queer ideas of fun. Luck then deserts him, and he is slightly injured several times in succession. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. Presently, he's hit again, this time has a fractured skull. Within a week after leaving the hospital, a fast-moving trolley car breaks his arm. He tells you he's decided to stop jaywalking for good, but in a few weeks he breaks both legs. Though through the years his conduct continues, accompanied by his continual promises to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether. Finally, he can no longer work. His wife gets a divorce. He's held up to ridicule. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. He shuts himself up in an asylum and hoping to mend his ways. But the day he comes out, he races in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? You may think, hey, what's going on, Danny? You may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We who have been through the ringer have to admit we have substituted alcoholism for jaywalking. The illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects, where alcohol has been involved, we have been strangely insane. Is it strong it's strong language, but isn't it true? When I got to that part, that paragraph I just read there, the reality set in. The reality set in, folks. I realized at that moment, I'd long since, there was a part of me that still, by the time I was reading all this, what's going on, Chairman? Good to see you, Hoss. See you sneaking in here. At that moment, that's when I realized the reality of it all. At that point, I thought maybe I can, turn back. Maybe there's still hope. Maybe I don't have to do this. This was the reality. That was my reality check right there when I read that. By the way, the jaywalking idea seemed like such a strange idea that it was actually laughable. What the hell is he, an adrenaline junkie? That's what I was sitting there thinking. And the thought of someone who's that big of an adrenaline junkie, just the illustration came into my head. And then when it got to the part where it talked about, the strong language, that's when reality set in. My thinking had been insane. And and Ian, you asked a good question. Basically, the reason why that after all these years, since like the first printing in 1940, 1939, 1940, let me double check that. Some bitch. I know it's in here. 1939. That didn't take long now, did it? In 1939, when this book was first printed, basically they had nailed down what was happening. Okay? They had nailed it down. It was that real. That they had nailed it down. So when fast forward to now, basically when I got sober in 2006, it was like, I turned it to a giant joke, but it was like I am written all over these freaking pages. And it was actually kind of spooky. It was spooky how these folks back then knew exactly what I was thinking. Well, yeah, they lived the same thing that I did. So they knew. Even though the times had changed, even though the settings had changed, the disease was still the same. It was still doing the same things. And you'll hear in AA meetings, and I even say, will even say this in NA meetings. You'll hear me say this. You'll hear me say, I understood I identified with your story. We could have grown up together because even though the details were different, our story is the same. That's the irony of it. That is the absolute irony of it all. So that's why I made that joke. So I was literally saying the same joke that I did when I first got sober. So that's a good question. That's why I said that. That was what it was like for me when I first started reading the big book. I was literally reciting what I said back then. That's a damn good question, Ian. Because the irony of it is that the disease never changed. The mindset's still the same. Between folks, and our stories will even almost parallel in a lot of ways. It's just the details change. And you'll sometimes hear me even say in meetings, the only difference between me and the newcomer coming in the room is just time. Just time. I've had more time sober than they have. But it doesn't mean that they're any less or any more than me. We are all on equal footing because I can guarantee they have the same story as I do. It's just the details changed. So if that helps you all any to kind of get what it is that I'm saying. That's a damn good question, Ian. Ian always asks those interesting questions. I hope that answered it. I think that did, didn't it? Let's see. How much further do we have? Oh, we don't want to go too much longer. Grand total of 36 likes that I can see. Thank you all so much. 37 now that I can see. I don't mind the likes. I like that. But anyhow, so just bear that in mind as we continue forward. What's going on, Kevin? Good to see you. 30. Wow. Yeah, it's just moving, Raven. Just let her go. I don't. It could be the counter's broken. We're just gonna go with it. We'll go with it. We'll keep it. So far, we've gotten all the way up to 70 something likes. Whether or not they stay, that's a whole nother ball game. Any which way you slice it, we'll take it. But any hoop-de-doo. So we are going to stop there because we're getting close. Yes, we do. Oh, thank you so much, Danny. Tell Mike I said hi. Give him a big. Tell him I'm giving a big streamer hug. Yes, we do. We have the 12 steps and 12 traditions. There's a lot of books that AA does have to offer, ironically enough. Yeah, it's still moving. It's still moving. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate that. Thank you for the big thumbs up. But yes, there is more books to read. We have the 12 steps and 12 traditions. We might even go into the concepts, the 12 concepts. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. So there's a lot to go over. There is a lot. Yes and yes. If you guys want, we will continue on with AA literature as long as you guys want. We'll even go into the stories in the back of the book if you'd like. We'll even read those. I even have an entire book of old stories that used to be in the big book. We can even do those. I even have basically a more in-depth book on Bill's backstory where he even talks about where he grew up. It's almost like a biography. Read more. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Bethy. Welcome to the live stream. This is Sober Talk. We don't read from the Bible. That's what the religious channels are for. No. But bear in mind, right now we're going over personal recovery. When we get to, and then we'll get into the 12 steps and 12 traditions book. Okay. Oh, Ian, you know better. I got nothing but love for that guy. I'm telling y'all right now, there's no one like him. And I could tell you that if I called him on Facebook Messenger, hey, what's going on, Sean? If I called Ian right now on Facebook Messenger and told him I was thinking about drinking, he would be one of the first ones to scream, "No, you're not. I will be on a plane over there to kick your ass if you do." Don't let him fool you. Good to see you, Sean. You guys, wow, you guys had tornado weather? Dang, brother. Oh, you would too? Okay. The line starts to the left and goes around the block about 4 times. And that's not a joke anymore. I have had a lot of people. Here's one that I just got to finish it up an application. Pretty much got one, might as well say, because they're practically just hiring everybody. Can't keep people. Nobody wants to work over here anymore. Monday, I go pick up my very last paycheck from McDonald's. McDougal's. Oh, heads up. Tomorrow, we're going to be filming something very important. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. If you decide, Ian, if there's one thing I've learned about you is if you decide, Ryan, more friends with that paycheck. If you decide you're going to do something, you do it. No, I get it. The truth of it is that no, what I'm referring to is how you like, you initially talked about you heard you know with the AA stuff you heard like some Bible stuff in there. I was like, well, yeah, there's correlations with it, but that's what they had to work with back then. Um, to give you guys an idea, what in the United States, it wasn't until 1978 before Native Americans were allowed to practice their religious anything in their religion without fear of being arrested. And that was an actual federal law. That wasn't until 1978 that that was repealed. So that's so when so if there's anything in the big book that works well with the Bible, yeah, that's what they had to work with because it was pretty much illegal even then to practice anything other than Christianity at that time. As sad as that sounds. What's going on, Broken Mike? So yeah, you're absolutely right. There is some, but we will eventually get away from that. You'll see more and more of that. I have a cat meowing at me, but you're absolutely right, Ian. It- Unfortunately, it also causes problems because of that. Please don't tell me you figured out a way to get yourself locked in the closet. I think I'm double checking, making sure Zelda didn't hide herself in the closet. That cat. Alrighty then. I might just. I see a grand total of 71 likes. Holy cow. Oh, that'd be awesome, man. Thank you. That'd be awesome, Kevin. I think Zelda's one in the bedroom. But no, uh, in all reality, you would be right, Ian. It was a different time. Oh, you'll make all sorts of friends here in the Bible Belt. You'll make all sorts of friends over here in the Bible Belt. That is the funniest thing. Yeah, I live in a notch in the Bible Belt. Any, I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell. I am doing fantastic, Mike. Getting ready to wind down here on Sober Talk. Right after the stream, right directly in front of me is my computer. I'm going. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that, Kevin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be opening up Fortnite. We're going to slide over to Save the World. And you and I have a date with giving away some double barrels in Save the World. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyhow, um, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So if y'all want a little fun and adventure, and Ian gets to try out a new toy. May the gods save us now. He's getting to play with a brand new. Awesome, awesome. So we are getting ready to shut down this stream. We'll start up the next one. So if all of you were able to, I would love it if you were all able to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, if you are playing Save the Mike, Ian gets to try out a brand new rocket launcher. One of my design. Well, one set up with my perks. I've nicknamed this thing Howie the Howitzer, and it's a rocket launcher. Hey, Queen, good to see you. Good to see you. No, we only go for about an hour. I will tell you right now, I'll tell you right now, Rich, the problem is that unfortunately it's hard for me to read for long extended periods of time. Even if I was sponsoring someone right now, it would be difficult. I would have to get them to read so much. Ian has too many to Why? Raven, you've already seen the rocket launcher. We were playing with it earlier. Remember? Howie the Howitzer? Yeah. Yeah, it was that one. Holy cow, we're up to 87 likes that I can see. Yeah. Yeah, it's a rocket launcher that I nickname Howie the Howitzer. So that should tell you what it's going to be like. It's going to be exciting. But yes. Only four. Only four. Here we go. Yeah, we got us a new toy for Save the World. And you I'm glad you didn't force too much. Now, Queen, it's only here are the launchers I'm working on. Okay. You forbid it. Oh no, no, no. The new one that I'm still kind of touching up. Zuzu, welcome to the live stream. Here we go. Here we go. Damn you, Kevin. The one that I was working on today, this is the schematic. The Jacko launcher, the vacuum tube launcher, and the tiny instrument of death. I'm not done with that one yet. That's a Bad Bat favorite. But I'm going to build one. Oh, yeah. Just got to finish up the application. We're all set up for me to submit everything. Yeah. And then Princess Faye and I will be working together at night. Grand total of 89 likes. Holy cow. That is a lot of likey likes. That's the ones I could see. Now, every once in a while, if the counter keeps moving. Wait a minute. Wait, let me read that again. My mind just went right in. Yeah. Anyhow, grand total of 91 likes that I could see. It's still moving. Either that counter's busted or it's just that many of you have stopped in and hit the likey like. We'll take it. So again, I want to thank y'all so very much. If it's that big of a deal, we're going to try to start squeezing in more of these, more readings. We'll try to get them earlier in the day. Bots probably, it could even just be the counters busted. I never behave. Isn't that right, Queen? I never behave. I'm going to say the baby's somewhere around here. Wait until you see what we're talking about to save the world. But anyhow, so we're going to go ahead and stop the stream there so I've already got OBS up. So I hope all of you can make it over there for that. 92 likes. Holy cow. Do I dare keep it open to see if we make it to 100? Do I dare keep it open just a moment longer? There you go. I would hope that all of you are just you. I would hope so. All righty. Hey, it's just like an AA meeting. You're not late until you hear the final, you know. Oh, no. It could be bots, but we'll take it. Because here's a little secret, Queen. Those bots still count as actual views, not a joke. That still counts as views, believe it or not. Ooh. We'll keep it open for a couple more minutes. Yeah, You'll love Mike. We're getting into some crazy stuff over there. As a matter of fact, gave the thumbs up. That's awesome. You know, I know I've got to load Faye's Corner tomorrow for tomorrow. I think I've got one for tomorrow. I can't remember if Princess Faye worked on one or not. But I know I need to stream that new game, don't I, Ian? Verdun? Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Ian, you like that game Verdun? That's free till the end of today. That's a good game, isn't it? Wait for it. Go. There you go. Oh shoot. Okay, honey. Uppy uppy. Welcome to the live stream. Hey, Ian. That's a great game. It's all about World War One. I thought you would absolutely love it. And it was so much fun. I had a great time. I got my butt handed to me, but it's very accurate. 94 likes. Holy cow. That's awesome. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. We'll go ahead and read one more thing. This is kind of important. Okay, honey. We'll go to an important one. Well, it was important for me when I read it, heard it for the first time. You guys ready for this? I heard this in my very first AA meeting. Fair enough. I was talking about the accuracy of how the weapons were. Some of those weapons were a pain in the ass, but anyhow. All right, we'll read this one, then we'll go ahead and start letting out in the usual manner. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you could do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order, but obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. I heard that in my very first ever AA meeting. And it still means an awful lot to me now. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. I know I've read it for you guys before, but I figured I'd read it again. It's been a while. It's been a good little while since we've read that one on stream. And it's a good one. You can end it. Actually, I heard someone hail Satan at once. Anyhow, not a joke. That's not a joke. Next time around, we will be picking up at the bottom of page 38. Yep, 2 more to go. Awesome. We'll be picking up at the bottom of page 38 here in the big book, and we are probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages away from finishing up the 3rd chapter. Then we'll be into the 4th chapter, We Agnostics, which basically, what is an agnostic? Basically, it's someone who that knows there's probably a God, but will not believe in a particular God until they show themselves. Basically it. Now, really quick, there have been members of Alcoholics Anonymous that have been atheists. There's been several over the years who have been atheists. And I've actually gotten along just fine with a lot of AA members who are still atheists uh, long after they get sober. So you'll find that, again, we're back to holy shit. Is it bots? Don't know. Woohoo! That is the highest this channel has ever been on likes. Isn't that something? That is huge, guys. There is your milestone for Sober Talk. How big can it get? How big can it get? Fuck you, Ian. You ass. All right, folks. Oh my gosh, Ian, you ass. Oh my goodness. We'll take it. All right, folks, but that is the stopping point for the evening. Thank you all so very much for being here. Mikey G. Hey, Mikey G, take a look at the like counter. Give it a moment. Let's see if he bricks himself. Wait for it. Let's see if what Mikey G says to the like counter. Holy crap, man. Yeah. All righty, folks. That does bring us to a good stopping point for the evening. Normally we let out one way in regular, in the regular streams we let out a certain way, but here on Sober Talk we let out a totally different way. That's because of you guys. That's because of guys like you out there. Thank you very much for being here with me. And that brings us to the spot where I say to all of you, very importantly that I say this, especially with that many likes. And it goes a little 100, yeah. Actually, it says 102 here. Goes a little something like this. At day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And with that being said, if nobody has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.